What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. We appreciate you guys' support, getting us this far. And of course, you can always go to slangsmith.com and get one of those Unique Access Entertainment shirts, slangsmith.com. Now, today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by somebody I've been wanting to talk to for many, many moons. So we have the honor and the privilege of Breeze. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me, bro. Thank you for having me.
Yes, very excited to talk to you. And with the intro with Breeze, one thing, as your career went on and everything, I was always curious. Sometimes it was Breeze, sometimes it was MC Breeze. How and why did it kind of go through the different names at times?
Well, when I first started, MCing, I can't even say when I first started MCing because I had a different name before Breeze. A friend of mine from back in the day, his name is D.O.C. We was friends as teenagers. And Breeze was a nickname he gave me because I was going by a different name because I used to break dance, but I used to rap though too. But once, I kind of got more into rap, I didn't want to go by my breakdancing name anymore because it was like a breakdancing name. So it was like, okay, I was trying to think of a name and my boy just hit me. He said, you know what? I'm going to call you Breeze. And I said, okay. And it kind of stuck from there. But back in that time, everybody was MC something. So, when I was rapping, it was MC Breeze. But by the time we got signed to Atlantic Records, I was over the fact of being MC Breeze, and I just wanted to be Breeze. So if you really look at the my album or my single covers and everything that you see in there, it doesn't say MC Breeze. It just says Breeze. Right. So I kind of dropped the Breeze, and actually I kind of switched it. It was Breeze the MC, not like MC Breeze. So MC Breeze is, before actually getting on records, and I just dropped the MC once I started, actually getting on songs and putting records out. I think it's probably one or two songs that if you listen carefully, I might say MC in there. I know I said it on one of the records. I know I said it on Tyson. I said it on The Young Son of No One. But that probably was just like reflex, muscle memory,
Yeah. Well, it's always curious though, because as we'll get to in a minute, but just clowning, seeing MC Breeze and then following your career, know who you were, I was like, okay, he's kind of going into different dimensions here. So I was always just curious about that. And I didn't want to forget to ask. But since everybody, thankfully I'd had the honor and privilege of being able to talk to Big Dad and the Muff from LA Posse about you. And I had known, but I didn't really know the story, but you're from New York. How and why and when did you end up moving to the Southern California?
Well, I moved out to California permanently at 14. I think I was like 14. 5 obvious reasons. My mom moved, so I had to move with her. So, I came out to, to Cali around 14 and pretty much stayed since 14. I mean, I would go back every year, to visit family and just to go back visit. And it's just crazy. I actually started rapping before I left New York because, I grew up in the era of, I don't want to call them mixtapes, but just recorded tapes from jams that was in the park and, in New York. So I had a lot of those tapes before I left. And that's when I started actually, trying to rap. And I didn't really get serious about rapping until I got to California. And the reason for that is when I got to California, even though there was some rap, it was just way different. And it wasn't like that rap that I was used to hearing it. So obviously being homesick and, just wanting to stay grounded to my own roots, I started getting a little bit more serious into it because, like I said, it was just a little different. It was like a lot of funk music, a lot of even though we played it too, but it just wasn't as prevalent as it was in New York as it is here. So that's what kind of like energized me to go, okay, you know what? I kind of feel like I got a head start on everyone out here. So let me just keep it going and pursuing my dreams of actually trying to rap. I never even thought of putting records out or anything. My whole thing was like just being able to rap and battle dudes at the park or at school or wherever we was, wherever we would meet up and meet another dude that rapped. So it kind of just, it branched off from just being here, being a little bit of homesick and like actually kind of taking the craft seriously.
Okay. And then Big Dad told me he had met you when you were 14 or 15. So I guess soon after you had moved out.
I actually met Big Dad because he was a security guard at my school, at the high school that I was going to. And he was dating one of my friend's sister. And my boy, his name is Joey. Joey heard me rapping at school. And I was like still kind of the New York dude that came to school with the Adidas with the no shoelaces in it and Adidas sweatsuits and stuff like that and Kango hats and stuff like that. So when they heard me rap, and I used to battle a lot of people at school, he knew about Big Dad being down with Uncle Jam's Army and like having a little, rap influence and stuff like that. So he was the one that actually introduced me to Daryl, Daryl Big Dad, and was like, yo, I got a friend that rap. You got to hear him. He's pretty dope. And so I rapped in front of him a couple of times and he was like, yeah. And so then he called Muff and he was like, yo, I got this kid that yo, he's pretty dope in rapping. And Muff was throwing a party in Antelope Valley. And he had some rappers that were supposed to perform at his show, at his party. So Daryl was like, well, I'm gonna bring the kid with me. And so I went out to the party in Antelope Valley. And it's funny because Muff had never heard me rap ever. And it was a lot of dudes that got up there and rapped and everything. And then I eventually got up there and I did my little thing. And then I forgot, I don't know if it was, I don't know if that was Roger Clayton. It may not have been Roger. It might have been somebody else, but one of them other Uncle Jam Army dudes. And the dude looked at Muff and was like, hey, yo, that kid is dope. And Muff was like, I told you, I don't bring nobody whack up here. And I'm like looking at him like, you never even heard me rap before. What are you talking about? So it was a big joke about that time. Like he knew what was coming, but he didn't even really know what was coming. So that's how that happened. I didn't live there. I just went up there to perform at his party.
Okay. So what part of LA were you staying at the time?
At that time, I was staying in North Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I was staying in North Hollywood, and I was going to. When I met Big Dad, I met him. I think I was 16. I think I was like 15. So it's probably I met him maybe about a year and a half after I've been out here, and I was going to North Hollywood High School. And if it wasn't for this girl who I was dating at the time that happened to be like a year older than me, and she used to live in Sun Valley, and because she lived in Sun Valley, all my friends was like a year or two older than me in North Hollywood. So they all graduated. So most of my friends that I hung out with at North Hollywood High School, they all left. So I was like, well, I kind of actually live closer to Poly up in Sun Valley. So I ended up transferring over to Sun Valley. And that's, how I ended up, he was at the school and that's how we ended up meeting. But I was living in North Hollywood at the time.
It's crazy hearing a story because it's always so seemingly random and just a happenstance sometimes when like things that totally change your life happen. And it happens all the time for a lot
Exactly.
for
Exactly.
so many people.
Exactly.
So for you at this time when you're 14, 15, and this is in the mid 80s, getting into, I guess the mid 80s, but that being said, how did you see your raps being compared, what you were writing and what you were into, and how you wrote was different than what was going on out here in LA?
I just think that for the fact that we had such a head start in, just rapping and emceeing, that I was just a little bit more seasoned and a little bit more technical, where out here it was kind of like, it was a little faster. It was a little more party oriented and not really about lyrics. So it was just different. And so that's why, like, a lot of times, it's like you can tell at that age, you can tell when somebody start rapping, you can be like, okay, he's from New York. He's not from here. Or he's from California. So, I mean, it was just it was a faster flow out here, and it was more party orientated. It wasn't really like battle driven and talking about yourself that much. It was like, so that was kind of like the difference for me. It didn't get quite gangster just yet. It was still more party vibe. Right. Dream Team, Egyptian Lover, people like that. It was a little bit still more people was on that kind of wave. It didn't really, to me, get a little bit more serious to where it became about lyrics, or I don't even want to say lyrics, but just more talking about yourself and what's going on around you, until like NWA and them came out. Then it kind of changed the balance of rap to where it kind of shifted from being just party vibes to now we're going to talk about some real stuff now.
Right. Okay. So when you impress LA Posse and the Uncle Jam's Army crew, and then LA Posse had told me that's when you guys went and recorded the Popcorn song. So break down how that was the song that you actually ended up doing.
Well, I'm sure they told you from them being with Uncle Jam's Army and Roger Clayton, who's Uncle Jam, basically, had a relationship with Russell Simmons and them from throwing parties for all their acts, whoever came out here, Run DMC mainly, and a few other crews that came out. And then, so what happened was, it was like, okay, well, let's go record a real song and let's see how this is going to work out. And then we ended up going over to, I think the name of the studio was called Rusk. It was on out there in Hollywood, like near Sunset and like not La Cienega, like La Brea. I think it was like somewhere around there. And Popcorn to me it's a chant basically in from old school New York rap. When they say I go on and on to the break of dawn, I'm like, hot butter on you what? Popcorn. That's like an old chant that everybody would say. Every MC would say at a party. So I kind of figured like I wanted to use the phrase, but I kind of just wanted to update it a little bit and, turn it into an actual song instead of just a phrase or a phrase or a chant that, everybody would say at parties. So we went in there and we recorded, actually we recorded two songs. We recorded that and we recorded another song called My Deaf Beat. And so we did those two songs. And then once we did it, it was like, oh, wow, we actually, did something that was pretty good. And then we ended up playing the song for Roger Clayton. Roger heard it and was like, yo, that's dope. And then there happened to be a music convention that used to be out here all the time. It was called the BRE, the Black Radio Exclusive. And it was at like the Sheraton and the Hilton, Universal Sheraton, Universal Hilton right there in Universal City. So, Roger was like, well, yo, I know Russell, maybe we could get it up there and play it for him. And it was like, yeah, okay, well, let's see, if this is going to work out, And it was crazy, man, because in the lobby there, I swear to God, there was probably, I want to say 100, but probably realistically it was like 50. But throughout the course of the weekend, it was probably a couple of hundred people who played their demos for Russell. And I remember we was kind of like standing in line, like, because we had to follow the line. And he was Russell was a hard critic, boy. He was playing people, most people was not getting past the first 20 seconds on their music. And he was just taking people's cassettes out, handing them back. Nah. And all of a sudden we got up there and he played Popcorn and we was just both looking at each other like, okay, I wonder if he's going to throw my tape back at me. And he was like, hey, yo, that's dope. He played it again. It was like, yo. And before we knew it, he was like, hey, yo, he told somebody, he was like, yo, get those dudes information right there. And before you know it, I think in a month's time, maybe a little less than a month, we was on a plane on our way going to New York.
That's incredible. Now, at this time, did you understand and know Russell Simmons was and his power in the game?
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, by that time, it was, let's see, when was that? That was probably 86. I think that was like 86 when we did that. Because I think I was like a junior. I think I was like a junior in high school. So I think it was probably like around 86. And LL Cool J was out, the Beastie Boys, like all these people. I mean, I had their posters on my wall back at my house. Like I knew who Russell Simmons was. Even his joint, he had Cold Rock stuff. He had some. Russell had a song called Cold Rock Stuff or something like that. He had a song out. So I mean, I knew. I'm a historian when it comes to hip hop. I knew everything. I knew everybody's raps. I knew everything. I could name old crews, new crews, name all, sing all your raps with you. So I knew it was a big deal. And then on top of that, hey, that's the dude who put out Run DMC. Like, and Run DMC was obviously the Kings, you know. So I definitely knew who we were meeting, and I definitely knew the significance of what had just happened that day. And it was a big moment, especially when you see 50 people before you get rejected and you get picked out. So I knew it was a big accomplishment, but I also knew, man, just because we got picked, that doesn't guarantee us anything. The work had to, the work had to actually start now.
Right. So speaking of the work, you go to New York, and what was the process for you getting signed to Def Jam and then starting to actually work on an album for them?
Well, in the beginning, it was crazy because there was no real plan. It was get on a plane and get to New York and we'll figure it out. And we show up to the office that they had in Lower Manhattan, not too far from Union Square. And we show up with our bags and shit, and we go up in the office, and it's just a big, wide open space with a bunch of people at different desks. And we sitting in there and people walking by, like not knowing who we are, like, yo, who is these cats up in here? And like, and Russell's doing this thing. And then, finally, like after a couple of hours, and Russell finally saw us, and it was like, oh yeah, well, hey, y'all here. Okay, well, y'all hang out for a little bit. And after hanging out for several hours, I'm like, bro, I ain't gotta sit in this office. I got family here. Like, I'm not, we were supposed to have a hotel room. I don't think we got a hotel room that day. So I'm like, yo, I'm about to go uptown. If y'all want to, y'all can come stay, with me. But, they was already in their 20s. And I was a, 16-year-old kid. And so I guess they probably thought it was kind of a little awkward for me to be bringing two grown men with me to come to my, family house. So they was like, nah, we gonna chill. So I think they slept up in the office for like maybe a couple of days before we even got a room.
Wow. And
then once they put us up in the room, they put us up in, I think it was the Collinwood Hotel by like 35th Street. And we ended up staying over there, brinky dink, like looked like a nice hotel until you walked into it. And, we were there for like a little while. And then it was more like, trying to get the paperwork together, whatever. But at the same time, we had kind of started trying to make music. He put us in the studio, but, so we kind of like was doing music a little bit. But you got to understand, though, at the same time, I'm still a kid. And I was this kid who thought that, okay, like, I'm about to quit school. I'm about to be a rapper. No more school. I'm done. And my mom's was not having that. Mom's was like, no, you're not. You can hang out for the summer, but you got to come back and you're going to school. You can go out for Thanksgiving break, for Christmas break, for spring break, but you're not missing school. So, and like during that initial phase is when, you know, we got presented paperwork and all of that. And also, mind you, I was still 16. I couldn't even sign my own contract. My mother had to sign my contract for me. I mean, her signature had to be on the contract as well as mine. And I think I eventually signed, I think I was about 17, because I was going to quit my senior year in high school. I was going to quit school, but I was like, she was like, nah. So I ended up signing, but then like right after I signed, we recorded a little bit, but then I had to leave and break out and go back to school.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.